They say the best camera is the one that you've got on you. What they don't tell you is that camera should be the RX100. This is the RX100 Mark V, a camera that is truly pocketable and should be in your pocket at all times as a photographer, in my opinion. I'm going to quickly rattle off some specs about this camera, and then we're going to get into the usability, because that's where this camera shines, being able to use it anytime, anywhere, and get good results out of it. Later in the video, I'm going to give some recommendations on what specific versions of the RX100 you should purchase, as well as the elephants in the room, iPhones, and an X100V, the internet's favorite camera. It's got a 20.1 megapixel 1-inch sensor, and that's a stacked sensor, so it can shoot up to 20 frames per second, which is absolutely ridiculous for something that can fit in your pocket. It's also got a 24-70 equivalent zoom lens on the front here, and that's full frame equivalent, at 1.8 all the way to 2.8. So it's got plenty of low light resolving capability. And if you want to extract depth of field equivalencies for this lens, it's a 24-70 f4 to f8 equivalent, which is plenty for something that can fit in your pocket. Furthermore, usability wise, it's got a pop-up EVF, which allows you to look at your photos in better resolution and just get more into that photo making zone. It's also got a pop-up flash, which allows you to get those sort of 80s style straight shot flash photos, or it's got a flexible cable, so you can also point the flash up and get a little bit more nicer lighting, but not that straight sort of flash look. Now, the reason I love this camera so much is it's genuinely pocketable. You can carry it with you everywhere you go, and it produces some incredible results. Now, when you take photos, and raw photos specifically, on a phone, for example, there's a usable window of light that you can actually capture and get good results from. When you use a camera like this, that range extends. You can get way better photos in even broader light conditions, which is why I love this camera. It's one of those cameras that I take with me everywhere, especially if I don't want to carry my big full frame camera setup. Like, I take this to concerts all the time and I get incredible results out of it. And because it's got that 20 frames per second, you just quickly turn it on, snap a bunch of photos, put it back down, and enjoy the concert. Or like the time where we're going out for dinner in Tokyo and I'm with my friends and I just want to enjoy the time, chuck this in my pocket, and then suddenly it's snowing in Tokyo and you're snapping away, getting awesome photos. And then you look up later and snow in Tokyo is extremely rare, and you're lucky to have like a good camera to capture that with. Or you're going up on the slopes and you want to get some awesome photos of your friends skiing and snowboarding for the first time, but you don't want to bring a backpack with you and your lenses and having to worry about it getting smashed and getting on chairlifts. This is awesome. Just chuck it in your pocket. You get a beautiful zoom range. It's an incredible camera that allows you to get so many different photos, especially because of the zoom. Now, usability wise, having 2 dials on this camera makes it incredibly easy to use in manual mode. Personally, I find this camera isn't that fun to use in manual mode, but having those 2 dials plus the ISO button makes it quite easy to control everything. Personally, when I shoot this camera, it's in aperture priority mode or in shutter priority mode with a minimum shutter speed. But that works perfect. Like, you just set it to the lowest aperture, get some awesome results. And speaking of that usability, there's an ND filter in here, which makes it super easy and convenient to get those sort of slow shutter speed photos that I personally love. Capturing those with the ND makes it super convenient, and the ND's got an auto mode, and it'll figure out if your exposure is getting too bright and turn on the ND and adjust everything for you. Super convenient, super easy. Now, while this camera doesn't have as much dynamic range as a full frame camera setup, it has got plenty of dynamic range. And that's all because of the 1-inch sensor. Even though phones nowadays use all their fancy computational photography, you just get better results in lower light situations with this. And that's not even talking about the flash. Like, the flash gives you more options as well, way more powerful than a phone flash. Now, personally, I went for the Mark V, which is the last generation to use a 24-70 and a 1.8 to to f2.8 lens. The newer versions, the Mark 6 and Mark 7, have a 24 to 200 millimeter, which is a way bigger, more versatile range, but they trade off that lower light capability of the 1.8 to get that extra reach, and they also miss out on the ND filter. Now, for some people who want to take photos of, you know, sports and that sort of thing, that is a better range for them. But for me personally, as an everyday camera, 24 to 70 is absolutely perfect, and I prefer to have that extra low light range. If you can, I would try to personally pick up the Mark 5, but the Mark 4 and down are also good options. Some of them have like 28mm lenses and going up, but some of the lower generations also have smaller form factors, so they're not as thick, so they're a bit easier to fit in your pocket. But honestly, lots of cameras in this range you can get good results out of. Now, compared to something like a X100V, this is obviously a lot smaller. It's a lot more pocketable, but the X100V's got a APS-C sensor, or even like the Ricoh GR, for example, has got an APS-C size sensor and is more pocketable. But they're fixed lenses, so they don't have the zoom range. I love prime lenses, so I don't care about fixed lens, but it's just the pocketability. I want something that's pocketable and can take awesome photos. Now, where I'd consider a X100V over an RX100 would be if you want straight out of camera photos that look edited and look beautiful. Fuji has been doing that for a long time and have awesome results with that. While this one, there are some options like portrait mode and vivid mode and all that sort of thing. You really do have to get the raw photo and edit it to get a good looking result. The JPEGs are fine, but they just look like general JPEGs. They don't look styled or anything like that. And one of the benefits of a camera like this is a lot of regular people bought these things back in the day as their like point and shoot cameras, and they don't realize how good they are and what they're sort of worth. So you can get these pretty cheap on Facebook Marketplace or eBay and that sort of thing. If somebody knows what they have, it's going to be a little bit hard to get a good deal, but you can get some pretty good deals. I bought this for, I think, $600 a few years ago on Facebook Marketplace. This is Australian dollars because I live in Australia, but I've seen people get them for really cheap, like a few $100s. It's just sort of something to keep an eye out and get a good deal on. But yeah, a lot of people don't realize what they have with these cameras. That's about all I've got for this. I think this should be in every photographer's pocket. Now, if you've got one of these now and you're wondering what program should I use to edit my RAW files, you should check out this video here where I edited a photo in absolutely every single editing program, and you can see which one's best for you. Anyway, I'll catch you later.